You are watching Entrusted with the Gospel. You're here today with Dr. Mike Reynolds. I'm the Associate Dean and the Executive Director of Trinity International University's South Chicago Regional Center, located at 14240 on Dante Avenue in Dalton, Illinois. And today we want to talk about a subject of great importance to a lot of people today, because most of us either have or are engaged with young people. And so let us think about what we need to do and even what might be the Christian response for us to the issues of juveniles. So today's subject matter is the youth in the justice system. We brought in an expert to discuss and to talk about this subject with us to make sure that you are informed and prepared to respond to what's going on in our society. Today we have with us Judge Michael Stuttley. Judge Michael Stuttley has a bachelor's degree in business administration from Northern Illinois University. He has an advanced certificate from the University of Illinois in Champaign. He also has a Juris Doctorate from John Marshall Law School. He attended high school at Carver High School right here in Chicago, Illinois. We are glad to have him with his expertise to serve as a judge for the last 23 years before retiring, previous 23 years. During that time, 3 of those years was where he served as a supervising judge, but he served 16 of them supervising judges in a juvenile situation. So we're glad to have him with us. Would you welcome with me to the show, Judge Michael Stuttley? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reynolds.
Judge Stuttley, this is a subject matter that we come encounter with somewhere throughout our life when we have a nephew, a niece, a child that engages the system, a church member. However, it's one of those systems that we're not always deeply aware of. So the criminal justice system is kind of comprehensive and somewhat convoluting, isn't it?
It is in some ways, and when you're speaking about juvenile justice, it's a little different. Even though it has not manifested itself in Illinois per se, we should deal with juveniles in a different manner than we deal with criminals. When I say criminals, I'm talking about someone who is a majority over the age of 17.
That's a lot of things that we need to know about. One, what is our response? 2, how do we prepare our kids to engage in this world? And 3, how do we come along to assist our churches in responding to it? The first question I'd like to ask you is, tell me a little bit about what's going on in the society right now that ends up pointing some of our children toward the criminal justice system.
Well, you know, I think the problem came in the 90s when it was a hue and cry to be tough on crime. And as a result of that, instead of finding ways of rehabilitation, we brought more kids into the system. Now, most of your states throughout the United States passed laws that made it tougher for a juvenile to get rehabilitation. And the sad part about it is that for the last 10 years, we can clearly show where the number of juvenile crimes have decreased, but the incarceration of juveniles, especially of color, has increased.
Wow.
So that's partly a problem that we have. Under Illinois law, we're supposed to be dealing with what they call balanced and restorative justice. Under criminal law, when a kid commits a crime, if you ever see on television, they said, people of the state of Illinois versus whoever.
Yes.
With a juvenile, it's supposed to be different. It's not the people of the state of Illinois, it should be the community.
Wow.
The community under balanced and restorative justice has an obligation to help this kid heal. Kids are going to commit crimes. Kids are going to make mistakes. But the community, some type of way, has to embrace that kid. We have found that when you deal with a juvenile as a criminal, people versus the individual, he doesn't see that at all. But under balanced and restorative justice, when he has to look at that person whom he broke in, give a a statement, impact statement of how it affected their lives, it's different. Now it's not the people of the state of Illinois, it's Mary J. Doe.
Wow.
The likelihood of him committing that crime again is much less.
So our youth need to see that there's a real person behind the crime. When we personalize the crime, it may actually help them in reducing committing the crime.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. There was situations in my courtroom where a defendant or a victim came in with fire in their eyes. I want to let this little juvenile know what he did, and I want to make sure he gets what is coming to him.
Yes.
By the time they left, they was telling me, "You too hard on that baby." You know, and sometimes, you know, a kid has to do some type of rehabilitation. He has to repair the community that he has caused to suffer. So sometimes he would do community service at the victim's home.
Wow. Wow.
So the likelihood of him reoffending this victim is very nil.
I hear you saying we can respond with a sense of help early.
Yes.
But if we do respond with a sense of being punitive early, we might create a long-term criminal, because a lot of people start in crime, that do start in crime young and they don't get corrected, become a lifelong career criminal.
Most of our juveniles that are in the system is because they lack direction. And let me tell you why I say that. 86% of all juvenile crime happens between the hour of 2:45 and 6 o'clock.
AM.
No, PM.
PM.
Now, what's measured about that time?
They're not being watched. They've come home from school and their parents are still at work.
Absolutely.
Wow.
The schools have closed their doors, and the parents have not come home. So juvenile crime, unlike adult crime is premeditated. Juvenile crime is an opportunity.
Wow.
Just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, being able to hear this allows us, it informs us that we should be stealing away opportunity from our kids. It's an important show. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to continue to engage this and ask more questions about how the system works so we might be able to respond to our youth better.